In the last session, we were talking about the various forms of data. What we saw was that data in today's world has transcended the traditional forms. Data are coming from various sensors located all over the place and at a very high velocity. For example, sensors placed on cars are able to today predict the wear and tear of a tire, tell the driver if he needs to change the fuel oil, if his engine is functioning optimally, if his alternator is creating a problem, and so on. Just by placing sensors at the critical points and transmitting the data to a central database somewhere in Volvo's ecosystem. Let us take an example from e-commerce. By continuously monitoring the shopping behavior of a customer, an organization should be able to discover the items he will in all probability purchase next. For example, we know that a person X, whenever he buys bread, he also invariably buys butter and milk along with it. Let's say 95% of the time he does it. Now, we could save him the trouble of going to back to the search option, search for milk, search for bread and so on, or butter, and just place everything in the cart. And he can delete it if he wants. If he's not planning to buy butter, he can delete it. So this is another example of how big data, expectations have been created from big data, which to appear at a certain velocity. So immediately a customer would expect the action to be taken. Previously, analytics would tell, yes, as a whole, on the whole, it has been found that generally customers were ordering bread and butter together, or let's say a Pepsi and a beer together. Now, earlier that was what was being predicted by analytics, but it was at the aggregated level, not at the disaggregated level, not at the customer level, which is possible today with the help of analytics. So the unstructured data today can also be put to use, like we can parse the cacophony of conversations on social media to uncover actionable information relevant to a particular business. Now there's a mass of data lying there. Dettol in India had a competition recently, and there were 20 lakh responses, 20 lakh participants in that contest. Now that's a wealth of information. So who are those people who had participated in the contest? And the question was, why do you like Dettol? So just imagine the wealth of information which could be garnered through that one competition. Prediction of the future can take place due to analytics, and that is called not just prediction, but also telling you what to do, which is actually falls under the gamut of prescriptive analytics. So marketing can today tap into social media analytics to understand what are the messages that will resonate with a particular type of demographic. For example, if we are running an advertisement on social media, let's say, on a YouTube, let's say a YouTube channel, and you would have observed that there are gaps in between, ad gaps as we call them. Now those advertisement gaps are generally, even till today, they are common. It's the same ad which I'll see, you'll see, anyone else, someone sitting in Latin America, someone sitting in Europe will see the same ad. But in many companies are today trying to actually tailor the ad for the individual based on his demography. Once you know who is the individual, what is his demography, what is his likes, what are his likes and dislikes, you could also. So there are intelligent tools today which can parse normal conversation in English. And through that, we are able to actually decipher what the person is trying to say. There are APIs today, application programming interfaces as we call them, for capturing information from various sources. So APIs are basically tools which will connect two softwares and pick up the relevant data for my use. Hadoop is already able to today deal or work with both structured and unstructured data. Customer service, for example, can use the technology to get a feed on chronic customer complaints and the time to resolve a problem. What are the type of problems which are taking more time? Or is it that it's not really based on the type of problem, but on a particular geography? Because possibly the engineer in a particular geography is not efficient enough. Product development teams could monitor and analyze social media to provide a window into recent consumer trends. So all this will be done through a process known as segmentation. This segmentation not only segments the market based on demographics like the age, the ethnic identity, the gender, the languages spoken by a person, by his profession, but also by his hobbies and tastes, by his personality type. For example, Mrs. Lalchandani is a genial person. This is concluded from one statement or from the number of times she has used the word happiness in her Facebook posts. So, the message that will be tiered for Mrs. Lalchandani would be typically a message for a genial person, for a person, a happy-go-lucky person, an amiable person, as we call it. Some other person with a different personality type, which is a more serious, introverted person, there will be a separate message tailored for him. There would be various other ways to incentivize customer behavior or consumer behavior. For example, Weather FX is a marketplace which today allows advertisers to correlate the display ads with whether events are, which are the products which are most likely to sell under a particular weather condition. I mean, we all know that possibly ice cream, or rather we think we know that ice cream will have no market in the height of December in, let's say, North India. But is that the case? If that was the case, then why does ice cream sell the maximum in Moscow, which is one of the coldest cities in the world, in the month of December and January? Therefore, there's a lot of things which we have assumed, which are not evidence-based, not data-based. And today, we have been able to break those myths thanks to big data and analytics. So, we have already talked of placing advertisements next to in a particular social media, let's say YouTube channel, tailored to the individual, not a general ad meant for everybody. No. Not only that, in newspapers, some a few online publications have already tried in the UK to actually place the ad next to the news item which a particular individual is likely to read. I may be someone who's very much interested in politics. There will be somebody else who's more interested in sports. There will be someone else who will be more interested in scientific news. There will be someone who is more interested in culture. So place it next to that so that it immediately attracts his attention. An example of a particular customer insight is on smartphones. It was found that 60% of the youth with income of $1,200 and above are prone to buy smartphones of a particular model. And then there are 30% of the youths which are have income between $600 and $1,200. 10% have income between $300 and $600, and 20% belong to the rest. Now the rest is not just the people who are earning $300 to $600 or more than $1,200. It is the non-youths. So that means 80% of the consumers consists of youths. The remaining 20% are outside these income ranges, plus people who do not belong to the age bracket, which can be typically called a youth. So, based on the past preferences of the person, we could also arrive at conclusions, and accordingly, let's say, in a particular e-commerce segment, we could ensure that based on the past preference of the person, only those products are placed before it. There is no point placing a product on an e-commerce, let's say in Amazon, pertaining to let's say a furnishing item at home for an individual who has never really got interested in decorating his home, and he has left it to his wife. How do we know that? From his past preferences. He has basically mostly shown interest, or basically displayed interest in things outside his home, in his car, let's say, in his in sports activities, in his golf, and so on. So there's no point displaying a furnishing item on the web, for instance. So this will come from the purchasing history, from the viewing history, from the clickstream sequence, and all that. Netflix, for example, uses this to predict a movie a customer is likely to enjoy. So someone who is interested in World War II, it will show all the World War II movies. And it has happened with me. I am interested personally in World War II, and I found that day that it was a pleasant surprise to find all the World War II movies displayed side by side. So this is what we have been able to do today with the help of analytics, big data, business intelligence, or whatever you may call it. The next session we'll cover something slightly more technical, which is market segmentation based on a phenomenon known as clustering of data.